we've crossed a threshold. Electric vehicles, plug-ins, hybrids, they're now regular cars. They're quick most of the time, quicker than an equivalent gas-powered car. They're efficient, an average driver would only need to plug one in every few nights or less. They don't look like hypermiling wind sails or Jetsons cars. They're inexpensive, well, they're not that cheap, yet. But we're getting there. It sounds bad to say that the slightly bigger than a Q5 2019 Audi E-Tron EV is unremarkable, but I don't mean it as a negative. After putting about 200 miles on one, the only reason not to buy it is if you do regular road trips beyond its 240 or so mile range. Otherwise, it's game on for electric cars. Let's start with the battery. The E-Tron gets a 95 kWh battery that weighs 1,540 pounds and sits flat on the floor under the passenger compartment. There are 36 cell modules with 1,260 individual cells. The battery can take a DC fast charger rated at 150 kilowatts, which is good for an 80% charge in 30 minutes. The purchase of an E-Tron also comes with support from the Powered by Electrify America charging network that will include 300 highway locations and 650 metro locations by the end of 2019. Audi also partnered with Amazon Home Services, which will offer certified installation of a 240-volt charging system in your garage backed by Amazon's guarantee. With that, a full charge will take about 9 hours. For motive power, the E-Tron uses two asynchronous induction motors, one on each axle, good together for 402 HP and 490 lb-ft when pushed to boost mode. That sport setting gets you to 60 miles per hour in 5.5 seconds. Top speed is an electrically viable 124 miles per hour. The E-Tron can vary the power front to rear as necessary and uses the brakes to torque vector in the rear. Like the recent pickup truck we saw from Rivian, this makes it unstoppable over road surfaces like dirt, snow, and mud. Sand, however, is a different story. You need special tires for that, something I quickly realized trying to creep over a small mound in the desert outside of Abu Dhabi, where Audi sent us to test this car. The E-Tron looks like a Q5 with a slightly different single-frame grille, different wheels, and a few extra styling flourishes. I'm trying to decide if too normal is good or bad. I don't want a giant green leaf on my electric vehicle denoting the powertrain, but I would like it to look a little different than its gas-powered siblings. I just drove the Jaguar I-Pace and found it a teeny bit quicker, and the looks a teeny bit more aggressive. I just don't know. It comes down to taste, I suppose. The Euro versions we drove came with orange calipers and matching interior stitching. They were also maxed out content-wise, with 21-inch wheels with all-season tires, the cold weather package and the night vision assistant. But the big get, and unfortunately we won't get them here, are the side view camera mirrors. Instead of a standard side view mirror, the E-Tron, in Euro trim, gets narrow little cameras sticking out from where the mirrors would normally be. They're about half the size of a normal mirror and are a boon to aerodynamicists who have been trying to ditch side mirrors for decades. These cameras display their views on the door panels just below the windows. Like the rear view mirror camera on GMs and Nissans, they take some getting used to. It's the depth perception that really throws you off. Normally when you look to a rear view or side view mirror, your eyes are ready to focus on the actual perceived distance. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. But with the camera mirrors you need to train yourself to focus flat, like on a television. Also, like the rear view camera mirrors, the side viewers offer a better, wider view of the blind spot and road behind. It took all day and even then I never really got used to them to stop turning my head just to double check something wasn't next to me. They do flash green when the turn signal goes on to let you know you're clear and yellow to let you know you're not clear. No matter, really, because they aren't coming to the US yet. Man NHTSF, get it together. Super quick is how I would describe the Audi E-Tron. Tipping the throttle in, the vehicle's immediate torque shoves you back into your seat. If you keep the power on, you'll stay there until early expressway speeds. Passing power at 70 miles per hour is quick too, just not as surprising as the initial launch. There's no wheel spin to speak of, due to the 1 motor per axle powertrain. It just has that single-speed transmission though, so there are no brakes in the action. It is quiet, but it's weird how quickly you get used to it. There's just a very little whooshing of wind and just a slight hum from the decidedly non-aggressive tires. With the regain/recuperation mode in maximum, it pulls the nose down and your head forward as soon as you let off the pedal. I do like one-pedal driving, and it does feel good to get every iota of electricity you can back in the battery. There's at least one great, curvy road near Abu Dhabi, and we find it snaking up a mountain. There we can get into the throttle a bit. Speeding laws in the Middle East are a little stricter than here. And the E-Tron has no problem pulling strong up the steep grade. What surprises me here is how quiet the tires are. I get more aggressive the higher we go. There are guardrails and no traffic, not too much danger here, but there's no tire squawk even when yanking the wheel. That low center of gravity really helps it stick. The brakes are all regenerative for the first third of the pedal stroke, but they only have a little bit of that annoying, springy feel, which is a good thing. When in the most recuperative mode, the car dips instantly when off the throttle, and only slows a little more as I depress the brake pedal a few inches down. After that, the mechanical brakes kick in and any speed left is quickly scrubbed off. The roads are near perfect in this part of the world, so there are no potholes from winter and salt, no asphalt, and no construction to deal with. Therefore, I can't tell you how well the E-Tron's adaptive air suspension soaks up the bumps. I will say that it doesn't lean as much as I would have expected, both front to rear and side to side. That's another advantage of that super low center of gravity. The interior is dominated by the two central touch screens, the lower of which shows the climate controls. The upper has the usual stuff: navigation, radio, media, and apps, along with a few extras like the range monitor. The range monitor displays your current state of battery and charge, and shows you how much range you could gain should you turn the air conditioning off or stop stomping the throttle. Speaking of range, during the morning we burned about 20% more miles than the range indicated initially. That had me worried. But in the afternoon it was close enough to make no difference, maybe a few miles off or so. Still, it's something I might keep track of early in my stewardship, to make sure I stay on the conservative side of the ledger. Back to the cabin, the seats are fine, somewhere between Lexus/Buick soft and Volkswagen hard. There's plenty of adjustment and I found a good, supportive driving position easily. The gear selector is new. It's just a big handrest with a little thumb press piece on it to slide from drive to reverse. The steering wheel has the normal selection of radio and screen adjustment buttons. The fact that the 2019 Audi E-Tron feels completely normal is, again, a good thing. It means we've advanced to the point where any driver can hop into an electric car and drive away without any added education. Once we start making more than 17% of our electricity from renewables, we'll really be in business. Until then, I still posit any two-car household could get by with one hybrid or battery electric in the group. That still leaves one conventional car for road trips, and to fill that role, Audi would be perfectly happy to sell you a similar looking Q5 for significantly less.